Namaste all. Today we will be looking into one of the most familiar and one of the most enigmatic spiritual personalities in the history of India. His name is Agastya. We all know about Agastya. So he is this dwarf person, dwarf in stature, but he is very, very strong and great in his spiritual strength. He is called Kudamuni, he is called Kumbamuni because he originated from a jar, the sacrificial jar, from the water jar, water pot that is carried for Vedic rituals. He is also called Kurumuni in Tamil because of his dwarf-like nature. So we all are familiar with him, and if you come to South India, you will find that there are a lot of stories with which children grew up. These stories are about Agastya. Many stories are there, fascinating stories. In each and every place you go, you will find a Shivalinga that is called Agastya Linga because Agastya worshipped it. So there are places called Agasteswaram. For example, in Kanyakumari district from where I come, there is a taluka called Agasteswaram, and there is a temple called Agasteshwarar. That Shiva was worshipped by Agastya. Like that, Agastya is there. He is permeating the entire fabric of India. Everybody knows about him, but actually do we know about him? How did he originate? What are his contributions to Indian civilization? What actually did he do? Was there a historical person called Agastya? So there are a lot of questions. From when on we started realizing that there was a person called Agastya? From when on this person originated in our history? So if we look into it, there are a lot of mysteries. Now, if we are going into Indian history, we will find that we usually start with the Indus Valley civilization, which is now also called Indus Saraswati civilization. It is also called Harappan civilization. It's the period of Harappan civilization goes back by, let us say, 5,000 years or more. It has some unique features. We have to understand these unique features because if we want to understand how this phenomenon called Agastya emerged in Indian civilization, we have to understand certain important features of this Harappan or Indus Valley or Indus Saraswati civilization. In Indus Valley or Indus Saraswati civilization, one important feature that we see is that its geographical spread was very high compared to other Bronze Age civilizations of that time. So if you look at the other Bronze Age civilizations like the Egyptian civilization, Sumerian civilization, you will find that the power structure in that society was very centralized, and hence to sustain the society, the political and religious power was highly centralized, and it was displayed in a very arrogant, lavish manner. You have huge pyramids, you have huge palaces. You know that this is where the central elite lived. This is how they controlled the entire civilization. And these civilizations were not that long living. They collapsed very easily. And they were, anyhow, their geographical spread was also not as big, as vast as the Harappan civilization. Whereas in the case of Harappan civilization, You have extraordinarily large geographical area. There is no centralized elite with such show and display of power as you see in, say, Egyptian or Sumerian civilizations. That is actually a mystery. So now the archaeologists and the anthropologists who are studying this Harappan civilization, they are beginning to understand that this kind of a power structure was not needed, yet they could sustain the civilization, because they kind of decentralized the power structure and they kind of democratized their governance. Of course, democracy is a very modern term. We don't know how appropriate it would be to use this term for the kind of governance that happened or kind of civilization that was there 5,000, 6,000 years ago. Nevertheless, it comes close. So I am using that particular term. And the religion there was a religion that could again decentralize its spiritual power to all the people. And it is in such a civilization that we find the origins of the very word Agastya. Now, we all know about the great Indologist Aravindan Mahadevan. He died in 2018. He was one of the pioneers who dedicated the entire life to decipher Harappan, the so-called Harappan script. One thing that distinguishes Aravindan Mahadevan from others is that he used Vedic imagery, Vedic motives to understand Harappan civilization. He is a very interesting person because he was a Dravidianist. In the sense, he thought that the language that was spoken in Harappan civilization was primarily Dravidian. At the same time, he also held that the civilization in Harappa was Vedic. So he thought that the Soma ritual was there. The famous unicorn icon that you could see, it was actually a representation of the Soma ritual, the cult object, the so-called cult object before, a filter-like object before that unicorn. He thought that he understood it as the Soma filter. Okay. So he studied a lot of this Harappan pictorial writings. You can put that writing within single inverted quote on the top of the seals, and he found that a particular alphabet, again inverted commas, a particular alphabet was getting repeated, a symbol was getting repeated at the beginning more than other symbols. In fact, if you take all the other symbols, the highest occurring first symbol was 2 times lesser than this particular symbol. So this symbol was a kind of a rectangular thing with a small structure inside, as you can see in this picture. So he realized that this was the so-called the alpha symbol, the first symbol. Okay, it is what did it actually represent? So he studied and he said that this particularly represents the word aham. Aham, as you know, is like in aham brahmasmi. Aham has different meanings. In Tamil, aham means house, inside. That is exactly what it means in Sanskrit also, something that is inside. And if you look at it, though Aravindan Mahadevan claims that it's a Dravidian word, it has Indo-European cognates. It has etymologically, you can see that, for example, ego, that also comes from agam. So they are all related. So you cannot claim that it is purely a Dravidian word. Nevertheless, in Tamil Nadu, the word agam is used for the house, it is used for the mind, it is used for something inner. Okay. So now you have in Tamil literature, basically in Sangam literature, you have Agananuru, Purananuru. Agananuru deals with the inner life of the people, the life that happens, the personal life of the people, that happens inside the house, like love, that happens inside the emotions of the people. Okay. Whereas Purananuru essentially deals with the valor of the people, what they show outside in the public sphere. how they are fighting with their enemies, how they are winning, how they are being very charitable, how they are conducting great yajnas. So, Purananuru deals with that, Agananuru deals with your inner life. Okay, so aham actually means inner, and he says that this particular word actually means aha, aham. And then he also looks for the last symbol. What is the most occurring last symbol? And interestingly, the most occurring last symbol is a symbol of a jar. Symbol of a jar. Okay, as you can see. And he relates both, and he tells that there could have been a priestly class of people, a priestly class of people, and they should have been carrying the title Agatyan. Okay. So, that is the origin of Agastya in the Harappan civilization. Now, remember very clearly, Airavata Mahadevan is, in my opinion, Airavata Mahadevan is very correct, okay, in understanding that there has been a set of people, Progidas most probably, people who were conducting rituals, people who were giving spiritual guidance to the people, and this group of people, they went by the name Agastya perhaps. Okay. If a group of people are going by the name Agastya, then there should have been a person called Agastya who was very famous, illustrious, and so because of his fame, because of his grandeur, that this particular name has become the family name, or perhaps this particular name has become the name of the people belonging to that functional group. It may be a hereditary name, it may be a name of people of a particular occupational group that was related to spirituality, that was related to giving guidance to the people. Then we come to Rigveda. Okay. Here I am following very strictly whatever the usual textbooks are giving you, the chronology the usual textbooks are giving you. But as you can see, there is a paradox here. The usual textbooks, they tell that, okay, Harappan civilization, after that the Vedic civilization. I am following that. But remember, you can see the paradox. You have even the great Dravidianist Indologists accept that the Agatya as a group of people were there in Indus Valley. Then to explain the origin of the person Agastya, I have to come to Rigveda. Okay. So, there is a time paradox here. Actually, if you place Rigveda in the anterior phase of the Harappan civilization, it explains the whole thing very clearly. Okay. So, I will leave it at that and I will move. So, here you are shown about the origin of Agastya. Agastya and Vasishtha, they are born in the pot. They were born in the pot. Okay. And the Rigvedic verse talks of this pot as, this is actually the ritual pot that is carried for Vedic sacrifices. It is called Pushkaram. Okay. Pushkaram in this particular context is actually the pot. But now we know that it actually means a water body. So, you have Pushkar in Rajasthan, and there is a place where it is considered that Agastya came and Agastya's ashram was present there. So, you can see the connection. So, Agastya was born from the pot. That is the first thing that we understand. And Mitra and Varuna, out of Mitra and Varuna was Agastya born. Okay. So, this Mitra Varuna is an important pair in Vedic literature, Vedic civilization, and out of them Agastya was born. And he was the elder brother of Vasishtha. He was the elder brother of Vasishtha. Then we find Agastya in conversation with Indra in one of the suktas in the first mandala of Rigveda. And that is a very important conversation. In a way, it sets the tone for the way in which Indian civilization looks at theodiversity. Okay. So, Agastya was going to conduct a yajna, and he is going to give the Havis to Maruts. Maruts are the storm gods. They are the gods of tempest, and he is going to wind, and he is going to give the Avirbaha, the Havis to the Maruts. Indra is upset. So, he comes and he talks to Agastya. And Agastya says to Indra, Indra is very angry also. Agastya says to Indra, Maruts are your brothers. So, share it with them. Don't just tell that only you should get it, share it with them. Now, notice this very clearly. Agastya was a human being, and Indra is the lord of the gods, and he is coming and telling, why you are worshipping Maruts? Why don't you give it to me alone? And then here is this human Agastya. He is commanding and telling. In fact, commanding in the sense, he is in a position to talk to the God in this way. He is not telling, oh God, I have sinned. I will not worship anyone else except you. Only you are the only true God. Let me break all the images of Maruts. He is not saying that. He is saying, see, Maruts are also expressions of divinity. In that way, they are related to you. In that way, they are your spiritual brothers. And why you are not ready to share the Avirbaha with them? That is what he is asking. And Indra again says, and now Indra calls Agastya as his brother. Brother Agastya, see, people change their mind. We are not sure what they will do. Today you are giving Avirbaha to Marus and later you may forget me. Then what will I do? So he says again that let us make the altar, Vedic altar. Let us face the east and we will give the Avirbaha. And you will share it with the Marus and you will give us the immortality. You will give us the wisdom, you will give us the immortality. Together we will partake this. So this particular aspect is very important. With that sukta ends. Then the next sukta begins. And there Agastya actually praises the Marus. The first 2 or 3 hymns he praises the Marus. And then he praises the Indra. And when he is praising the Indra, he points out that Indra and Marus are all part of the same Deva Mandala. And as such, they all can together partake the Havis. With that it ends. Now here you see that Agastya, with his ability to perceive the divinity, is able to see something very important. That is, there is one form of divinity that comes and says that only you should worship me, you shouldn't worship others. And here he says, no, all are expressions of the same divinity. And let us have a kind of a harmony. Let there be different gods. Let there be different expressions of divinity in different forms. But let them all be harmonized in the Vedic Yajna. And let us take it together. That he expresses again and again in those suktas. Okay, that is number 1. And remember here that both the gods, Indra and Maruts, both the gods, they are related to rain. They are related to sustainable food production. Okay, that just you keep it in your mind. Then there is another one beautiful conversation. This conversation is with Agastya and his wife, Lobamutra. And in this conversation is again very beautiful. Because Lobamutra starts the conversation and she says that for years I have been very sincere and now my youth may be going away from me. And let us procreate and let us have children and let us have a family. And Agastya shows himself as an ascetic person, a person who is into ascetic practices and he is not interested in having a family. Then Lobamutra tells Agastya, see, great rishis of the old time, who actually were after Rita, Satya, the people who realized the Satya and Rita, they have shown us that we should have children. And by forsaking family, by forsaking that particular aspect of Dharma, you cannot realize the truth. And then Agastya realizes that. And then the sukta ends that Agastya took the tools of life in his hand. He started working on the ground and he also gave birth to children, and they realized, both of them realized the truth and they attained immortality. Okay. So now this is a very, very interesting conversation. Remember that usually in a so-called patriarchal spirituality or in most of religions, you will find the woman as the seductress. Here The woman is coming, she is initiating the conversation. And here there is every possibility that the Vedic literature could have shown Lopamutra as the seductress who was taking the rishi, who is on a spiritual path, an ascetic path, and she was taking him away into the worldly life. But that is not how the Vedic text shows. The Vedic text shows Agastya as listening to Lopamutra, learning from Lopamutra, and then entering into the family life, and by practicing both family life and asceticism. That is how the Vedic Sukta ends. By practicing both family life and asceticism, he was able to realize the truth. So here there is no fall. The woman is responsible. The woman is the one who guides. The woman is the one who is with the knowledge, who actually shows her husband the path to enlightenment and liberation. Now, that is another aspect of Agastya that we should remember here. Later we will see that this particular aspect of Agastya is expanded in the Idihasa and Purana literature. So, this is the Agastya that we are seeing. Now we come to the Agastya as shown in Ramayana. So, in the Aranyakanta, Rama, Lakshmana, Sita, they are all shown as going to Agastya's hermitage, Dandakaranya. Okay. Now they are going. And earlier Rama had asked about Agastya, the greatness of Agastya, and it is told to him that there is a particular story that is told here. There were two asuras called Ilvala and Vadapi. The Ilvala is also called Vilvala in some of the texts. Okay. So, these two Asura brothers, they had a vile habit. They used to wait up for Brahmins to come, and they would invite them, and they would be serving them meal. Those days, the rishis also used to take meat. So, they would be serving him a goat meat, and this particular goat actually would be a magical goat. It was actually this Asura Vadapi who would become the goat, and then he would be slaughtered, and then he would be made into beautiful meat, and it would be mixed with the rice, and it would be served to the unsuspecting rishi, and he would be eating it, and when he eats, then he would call the Asura back. Vilvala would call the Asura back, and the Asura would come out of the stomach of the rishi, and the rishi would be dead. Then the meat of the rishi would be taken by these two brothers. Okay, that is how they used to live. And so a lot of people understood something is wrong going on. They came and they told Agastya. Agastya went that path. He went into that particular area. As usual, Vilvala called him and offered him this Vadapi goat, and Agastya relished that meat, and he asked for more and more meat, and he started eating it. And then Vilvala understood that something is wrong, this guy is different from other persons, and so he said, okay, Vadapi, come back, and then just Agastya looked at him and said, no, what, why you are calling Vadapi, I have digested him completely, no more he is there. And then Vilvala got angry, and he moved towards Agastya, and Agastya was radiating such strong yogic Agni that he just was blown into pieces, or he was reduced to ashes. So, this story was told. Okay. Then Agastya came here, and he has been doing penance, and he has been practicing austerities. Now, Rama and Lakshmana and Sita, they were walking, going towards the hermitage. Now, a very interesting observation Sri Rama makes. He points out the different tree species that are present there. And then he says, look at all these tree species, and look at the beautiful kind of flower shrubs that are on these trees, and look at the behavior of the animals. All the animals look very harmonious, and they are peaceful. And so, I think we are nearing the hermitage of Agastya. And in this hermitage of Agastya, even, this is a very important line, even the Rakshasas, they are also very peaceful. They are not harming anyone. They are very, very humane, and they are very wonderful. So, Rama makes all these observations. They are going to Agastya. Okay. And just before going to Agastya, previously Rama had made that vow that he is going to destroy the Rakshasas. and Sita had asked him, why you are making this vow? The Rakshasas are not disturbing you. Why you are making this vow? Okay. Now they are going into Agastya, and Agastya now gives him all the weapons that are needed for him. The Vishnu Tanus that was created by Viswakarma, and two quiver full of arrows that would replenish themselves even as he is taking, and the Deva Astras and wonderful magical sword. All that are given to Rama by Agastya. And then Agastya tells him that with this, like Indra destroyed his enemies of the Devas, like Vishnu destroyed the Rakshasas, Asuras, you will also conquer your enemies, and he gives all this to Sri Rama. So here what is happening is that he is preparing Sri Rama for the coming war. No way you can guess that in the course of event that any war is coming. But here is Agastya who gives all these arms to Sri Rama, and in his hermitage, remember, there is full of peace. Everybody is peaceful. Everybody is into harmonious coexistence. All that is happening. Nevertheless, Agastya is preparing Sri Rama with the divine astras for the coming war. And then again he makes an appearance, and that is during the Yuddha-kanda, the final battle, and Rama feels to defeat this Asura who is so magnificent in his valor. Actually, Rama had fought a very strong war with Ravana, and Ravana had actually retreated. And he had retreated, he had gone, then he had again made himself, he had refreshed, and he is coming back with great energy. At this particular point, Rama feels that without showing the Paraswarupa, without showing the real grandeur in this very human form, I have to destroy this Asura. How that is possible? That particular moment, at that time, Agastya comes, and Agastya gives the very famous Aditya Hridaya Stotra to Sri Rama. Now, Sri Rama becomes strong and he destroys Ravana. So, in all this, you can see the very important aspects of Agastya. Agastya is the person whose hermitage is the place of peace and harmony. Even the Rakshasas are very, very peaceful and humane, and they are not harming anyone. So Agastya could make that impact. At the same time, it was the same Agastya who gives Sri Rama the weapons for fighting the dharmic cause. And the same Agastya again comes to Sri Rama and tells him, gives him the Aditya Hridaya Stotra and makes him strong, spiritually strong to fight this battle. Okay. So here you can see the Agastya in three different ways he is approaching the problem of aggressive enemy who is against dharma. With the spiritual power, with a limited number of asuras, he could actually change them. At the same time, you should have a strong Kshatriya fighting these adharmic forces. That person should be provided with the weapons for the dharmic cause, and that is also done by the same Agastya. And he is also giving not just the weapons for the physical fight, he is also giving him the spiritual strength through Aditya Hridaya Stotra. So the three ways you can see how Agastya deals with an adharmic enemy in this particular context. Okay. And in Mahabharata, again we see another very interesting aspect of Agastya. Here, the Lopamutra story becomes very interesting. So Agastya was going on his pilgrimage, and he finds some very old people hanging upside down in a cave, and they are obviously feeling very uncomfortable, and they are feeling pain. So he goes and asks them why you are undergoing this particular penance or this particular punishment. And they say that, in our line there was this person called Agastya. He hadn't married and he hadn't got any children because we don't have that progeny, and we are suffering this particular penance or punishment. And then Agastya realizes that he should have a child, And so now he goes to the king of Vidarbha and he is asking for the hand of Lopamutra. Now the Vidarbha king is bit upset because Agastya was this dwarf person, a rishi who is living in the forest, and of course he is not a materialistic rich person. So the king is upset, but Lopamutra herself comes and tells the king that he shouldn't be upset. I am ready to marry Agastya. So she marries Agastya, and once she marries Agastya, Agastya tells her to remove all her gold ornaments and costly dresses and to wear a very simple dress like a wife of a mendicant. So that happens. She immediately obeys what Agastya says and gives all those things, and he wears these simple dresses and goes with Agastya. But when she has become the wife of Agastya, then she asks Agastya, I need all those beautiful ornaments and costly things. I need it now. So Agastya thinks about it. He can use his yogic power and he could create them, but he didn't want to waste the yogic power on this. Being a Brahmana, he could go and he could ask the kings and others for alms. So he is going to every Kshatriya king and asking for alms. Nobody has that much amount of money to fulfill the demands of what Lopamutra asked Agastya. Finally, he reaches Ilvala and Vatapi. They have been doing the same thing as told in Ramayana. But there is a difference here. There, Ilvala was also destroyed immediately. Here, instead, Ilvala actually feels sorry, atones for all the things that had happened. Once Vatapi is killed, he says, I am sorry, now I have changed and I will give you anything that you want. Okay? And now he is asking for all the things that Lopamutra had asked, and he gets all those things and gives it to Lopamutra. And then he is asking Lopamutra if she wants 1,000 sons or one son. And then Lopamutra says that I want one son who is more meritorious, more dharmic, because if I am having 1,000 sons who are not meritorious, who are not valorous, who are not dharmic, and if I am having one son, that one son is better than those 1,000 sons. So I need that one son. So a son is born to them, and that son becomes a very great helper in Vedic sacrifices. So this is the story of Agastya that is told in Mahabharata. Okay. Now we come to the next very important aspect of Agastya story, Agastya's history. Agastya coming to South India. So why did Agastya come to South India? In Purananuru, there is a particular song. As I said, as I explained earlier, Purananuru is about charity, it is about valor and all that. So you have a Tamil poet called Kabilan. So Kabilan was handed over the charge of two girls. These girls were princesses of a great philanthropist king. His name was Pari. The Pari was such a great king that one day he was going into the forest in his chariot, and then a particular shrub kind of started moving over the chariot. And he saw this and he didn't have the heart to move that particular chariot because the shrub has started, and if he is going to move the chariot, the shrub is going to be disturbed. So he left the chariot there and he started walking back to his kingdom. So this was one of those events that happened in his history that shows his personality. A person who gives anything and everything that he had to all the people in need. So at a particular war he was killed, and after this these two girls of him, the entire family fell into poverty, and these two girls are helpless. So this poet Kabilan, who had actually benefited from the charity, from the magnanimity of Pari, he was taking these two girls and he was going to a particular king and he was telling him, take care of these girls, you have to finance their livelihood, you have to get them married to suitable grooms, and he was asking for help. And when he was asking for help, you can't just go and ask a king for help just like that. It was the form of a song, In that he points out the greatness of the king, his lineage. And when he was talking about the lineage, he says that you were born, you are coming in the lineage of that particular sage who emerged from the water body, that northern sage who emerged from the water body. And you have come from a place called Tuar, today that is identified as Dwaraka. So you had come from Dwaraka. And this is a particular place that was surrounded by copper forts. So you are now almost 49 generations. You had come from Dwaraka and you were guided by, or you had come in the line of Agastya. He didn't say openly Agastya, the northern Rishi who was born of the water pot. So that is a very good reference to a particular historic event. After the destruction of Dwaraka, after a lot of natural calamities, a lot of people who didn't know where to go, they were guided by Agastya and they came to South India. So this is a historical reference to that particular point. And that particular king was called a Velir king. Now Velir is a particular term in Tamil that is related to people who are working in the agriculture, people who are working in irrigation and agriculture. Now remember that in Tamil the lands are divided into 5 Thinais. I think already Jatayu has given a very beautiful talk about Thinai, the 5 different what you can call the eco-cultural zones that are in Tamil literature, that are shown in Tamil literature. One is Kurinchi, that is related to the mountain, and another one is Marudam, that is related to the agricultural land. Neithal is related to the coastal area, and Mullai is related to the grazing land. Palai is related to the desert area. So like that you have the eco-cultural classification. In this, every eco-cultural zone that is shown here, it would have its own deity. Now remember, Marudam is the land of agriculture, okay, the place where agriculture happens and the people who are related to agriculture live. Why it is called Marudam? That is an interesting question. Why it is called Marudam? Because your agriculture depends on Maruts, the wind gods. So naturally the land is called Marudam. And who is the head of that particular land? The presiding deity of that particular land. So as I said, in Kurinji it is Murugan. In Mullai, where it is grazing land, it is Krishna, Mayon. Okay, it is called Mayon in Tamil, it is Krishna. And Varuna is the deity of Neithal, which is the coastal area. Fine. Here for Marudam, the preceding deity is Indra. Now you see here, Indra and Maruts are related in this particular way here. And it is the people who do this agriculture are called Velir or Velalar or whatever. And these were the people who were led by Agastya from north to the south. Now all these dots you can connect very clearly, and you remember the Vedic Agastya, who was actually the person who made the Maruts and Indra get together, come together, and you can see here all these things. Then you find that Agastya was actually a historic personality who played a very important role in the spiritual development of Indian religion and culture, and he was the person who was uniting the north and the south. Okay. So now that is from Purananuru, from the Sangam literature. There are also other narratives of Puranic narratives of Agastya. So one very important Puranic narrative of Agastya is that it starts with Shiva. Shiva has destroyed Kama, Manmata, and after that Shiva woos Parvati, and then the marriage between Shiva and Parvati is going to happen. So when the marriage between Shiva and Parvati is going to happen, and it was happening in the Himalayas, Kailasha, Himalaya area, all the Devas, the Nagas, the Gandharvas, the Kinnaras, the Rishis, the Munis, everyone wanted to witness the marriage of Parvati and Parameswara. So they all had come to North India. They all have come from all over the world, they have come to Himalayas. So now what happened was, the Himalayan region because of all these people, it started going down and the southern region started going up. There was imbalance. So this imbalance had to be stopped. It has to be harmonized, brought back. So Shiva calls Agastya. Shiva calls Agastya and he tells Agastya, go to South India and go to the Podigai, that is a mountain called Podigai mountain. It is the end of the Western Ghats. So you go there and you do penance. So Agastya asks Shiva, what is the mistake that I have done? Why you are asking me to go in such an auspicious time when your marriage is going to happen? I want to see that marriage. And you are asking me to go, what is the mistake that I have done? And for that, Shiva answers. So Shiva says, you see, this has happened, this imbalance has happened. All the Devas, Devadas, the Rishis, the Munis, everyone is here. I have to send someone to balance it. So to balance it, I can send Brahma, because Brahma in his spiritual grandeur is not equal to all these people. Their weight is higher than him. I can send others. There is not one who would be like you, who can actually make that equal. Because you may be short, but your spiritual grandeur is so great. You are greater than Brahma. You are greater than all the Devadas put together. So I am sending you. So here is Shiva recognizing the grandeur of Agastya and telling him to go there. So Agastya goes there. As Agastya was going, on the way he goes, there is a asura called Grauncha. And this particular asura, he used to take the form of a big bird, or he used to take the form of a mountain, and then he used to create torrents of rain, and he would be making the people lose their way or die. So actually Agastya makes him immobile into a small mountain there. And then this Graunjasura asks him to liberate him from this particular curse. Then he says, when Skanda comes, when he fights with Taragasura, at that particular time he will destroy you also, at that time you will get liberation. And he goes to the Podigai mountain and he starts doing the meditation. Okay. So this is the Purana story that you have of Agastya coming to South India. Okay. So this is the Purana story. Now the Puranic stories, they are a different way of looking into reality and telling reality in a different language. And we have to understand this particular language to understand what actually it says. For that you have a lot of guidances coming from other literature. One such literature is called Thirumandiram. Thirumandiram was written by Tirumular. Tirumular was one of the great Siddhas of South India. And this Thirumandiram is essentially an encyclopedia of all the yogic tantric practices that were present there. All have been harmonized and they have been made into one text. So this is a very immense text. To this day, a person who has studied all the tantras of Thirumandirams and who had understood them, it is very hard to find. The language of Thirumandiram is very simple, but it contains a lot of what is called the secret encodings inside it. So because of that, Thirumandiram is a text that does not yield itself to anyone who studies it easily. And he explains in lot of places in Thirumandiram, he explains, gives hints as to what a particular Puranic thing is actually. For example, you all have heard about the Shiva destroying the Tripura. So what is this aspect of Shiva destroying Tripura? So if you ask a historian, he might say that the Tripura relates to some old tribes. Or if you are watching Ancient Aliens serial, then they would be saying that actually these are all three satellites, towns that were in the sky set by the aliens, and Shiva came and destroyed. Obviously, you know that it is pseudoscience. And that kind of aspects are there. But here, Tirumular gives a small, beautiful statement. He says that people who tell Shiva destroyed Tripura, they don't understand it. The three Tripuras are actually the three inner pollutants of Anav, that is ego, karma and maya. So these are the three inner pollutants, and the three inner pollutants can be destroyed only by Shiva. So that is actually the inner meaning of that particular Puranic episode. So he has also given the inner meaning of this particular Puranic episode, and it is very, very important that we understand it, because it relates again, in a way it relates to the conversation that Agastya was having with Indra. Okay, because he says that imbalance that happened, and after that Agastya was sent, Agastya was the Agni in the middle. That is the clue that he gives. Okay. Then the explanation is that you know about the Ida and Pingala, the Surya Kala and the Chandra Kala of the Kundalini. So when the Kundalini is rising, if there is an imbalance, then it becomes a problem. Because there is an imbalance on one side it is increasing, and the other side it is not there, you cannot tell that only on one side the problem is there. The problem is for the entire organism. So remember, Swami Vivekananda makes a very important statement here. He says that when there is a Kundalini rising, if there is no proper guidance by the Guru, then a lot of bad things can happen. Wonderful spiritual truths can become entangled with the monopolistic tendencies. He points out to a particular phenomenon in religious history and says, because of this, the particular text is having a lot of good truths, but it is also having a lot of violence. And because of that violence, a lot of holy wars have been waged in the world. And because of that, a lot of widows and a lot of children have been killed. A lot of sorrowful families have been created. Families have been destroyed. All because this one person was having no guidance in his Kundalini rising. So that is almost exactly what we see in the conversation between Indra and Agastya. Because it was Agastya, he was able to see that this is not the way to go. It is not the way to destroy the Marus and make Indra the one and only God. There should be a harmony of the diversity of the divine forms. Now you come here. Here it's said very clearly that Tirumula tells very clearly that there is an imbalance of the Agni that is rising, and Agastya is the Agni that is in the middle, the Chulumuna as we call it. Okay. So the Ida Pingala is there, and the Sushmana Nadi has to be there. That particular Sushmana Nadi is the one that harmonizes the flow of Kundalini. Agastya is that particular Sushmana Nadi in this particular yogic context. Okay. So here you see very clearly what it means. Right. So Agastya is not only a historical person, he is also a yogic phenomenon. He is a yogi who constantly guides people in the spiritual path. So these are the dimensions of Agastya as we look into the way the Agastya story is developing in entire India. Okay. And Agastya is, in Tamil literature, you will find Agastya as the person who was also responsible for the flow of Kaveri. So Agastya was coming from North India to South India, and he is asking Shiva he is making demands to Shiva. One of the demands is that I want to see the marriage, the divine marriage that is happening, I want to also see. So Shiva assures him that you will have the vision of that in South India. Now remember that something very sacred is happening in North India. The same thing is happening in a very sacred way in South India also. So usually people identify the place where Agastya was given this vision as Vedaranyam. Okay. Vedaranyam is the place where the Vedas are the forest. So there is a beautiful temple there, and in that temple, if you are doing the circumambulation of the temple, behind you can see a beautiful marriage form of Shiva and Parvati. So it is said that in this particular place Agastya was granted that vision. Now you see this, that there is no particular place, only there you can have that vision. There is no particular place where only there you can do the pilgrimage. By only going there you can attain liberation. The entire nation has been made a sacred land. So this is another one important thing, that through the Agastya narrative we are given that anywhere you are, the divine vision you can have. and that land becomes the sacred land. It is not because the land is sacred, because you have that feeling of sacredness in you and you are doing your tapasya there, that place becomes sacred. And then because you have done your tapasya there and that place has become sacred, it starts attracting, the place starts attracting people to come there and do the tapasya. It is a kind of a circular process there. Okay. So Agastya enables that in South India. And the second thing is that Agastya was the one who gives grammar to Tamil. Now, this has become a very big debating point for the modern Tamil people. Not all the Tamils, a section of Tamils who want to call themselves rationalists, and they are very upset. See, a person coming from North India, and this person is also happens to be a Brahmin, and that is the person who is giving Tamil grammar. Now, that is really a big problem for Tamil ego. Okay? But that is not true. As Airavata Magadevan shows, Airavata Magadevan, as I said in the beginning itself, Airavata Magadevan was a Dravidianist. He didn't have a problem that Agastya was coming from there. Now we are claiming that in Tamil Nadu the Iron Age started. Okay. Now we are having a very bigger problem than we realize, because if Iron Age started in Tamil Nadu, we cannot own Indus Valley civilization. It is a Bronze Age civilization. So we have to make another one theory. We have to say that the one branch of Tamils, they went to Indus Valley, they started this beautiful Bronze Age civilization. Then another set of Tamils, they were there in Tamil Nadu and they discovered Iron Age, and they were the ones who started the Iron Age for the entire world. And for more than 2000 years, they never had any contact with their brothers in Indus Valley civilization. How sad, right? You can understand how when linguistic chauvinism starts distorting your understanding of history, this problem comes. But if you look at the archaeological works that have been happening in entire India, you will find that constantly archaeologists have said that there had been iron usage in South India for a long time. It has been there. They have told that again, not just in Tamil Nadu, entire South India. You have found it in Karnataka, you have found it in Andhra Pradesh. So this Iron Age transition from Bronze Age to Iron Age that happened in ancient India was not how the original colonial historians constructed. They told that this Iron Age Aryans came from outside. No, the Iron Age was an internalized development that happened in India, and the transition from Bronze Age to the so-called second urban age, it all happened in a flow, and in that Agastya was an important stream. If we understand that, then we will understand we don't have to feel this inferiority complex. Because of the colonial racial theories, we are feeling an inferiority complex. We are disowning an important part of our own culture. As I said, Thirumolar is one of the cornerstones of Tamil spiritual literary history. And he is in his second Tantra, the first two hymns are for Agastya. And this particular aspect of Agastya as the central fire that is guiding the Kundalini. Now you are going to say that because Agastya is a Brahmin and the limited understanding of who the Brahmin is, and because Agastya had come from North India, I am going to shun him away. I am going to reject all the possibilities of Agastya in my history. Then my history becomes poorer. My civilization becomes poorer. Now this is something very strong damage that we are doing to ourselves. We have to understand that. So we have to understand Agastya in the context. So now we see this. Agastya is emerging strongly as an important personality in Tamil literary world. So there is this Chilappatikaram, which is again an important part of Tamil literary history. So there another one story of Agastya is told. It is that in Devaloka, so these are all Puranic stories. So in Devaloka, one day the dance was happening and Urvasi was dancing. As she was dancing, she looked at Jayanta, who was the son of Indra, and fell in love. And because at that particular point she fell in love, her dance movements kind of became awkward. And so she was cursed and she was born in Tamil Nadu as a dancer. And in a particular place called Pumbugar, she was dancing. At that time, Agastya, because of the grace of Agastya, her curse went off and she went back to the heavens. Okay, that is another incident, a Puranic incident mentioned in Chilapadikaram on the go. In a tangential reference, it is mentioned. So, when something is mentioned in a tangential reference, that means it is already part and parcel of the history. So, Agastya is already part and parcel of the history in Tamil Nadu. Then you have another one, very, very beautiful epic called Manimekalai. Manimekalai is kind of a continuation of Chilapadikaram. Okay. In Manimekalai, a lot of references to Agastya is told, and one important reference that has been told is that Agastya, a Chola king, he wanted prosperity in his country. So, now Manimekalai is written by a person called Seethalai Satanar, and this particular person was a rabid Buddhist, a staunch Buddhist. If you take all the literary works in Tamil Nadu, ancient Tamil Nadu, you look at Chilapadikaram. Chilapadikaram is, you can say that it is really a pan-Hindu epic. You have Buddhism, Jainism, Saktam, everything beautifully. Vedic religion is beautifully represented there. In fact, some of the beautiful expressions of Vedic religion you can find in Chilapadikaram. Okay. So, Chilapadikaram is very broad-minded. It is attributed to Ilango Adigal, who is supposed to be a Jain monk. But this contains Upanishatic verses changed into Tamil and are present in Chilapadikaram. Okay. Compared to that, Manimekalai is kind of, you can say, bit chauvinist about Buddhism. Okay. So, it is in this, that is, I am telling all this because the reference to Agastya that comes here is very important. It is not told by someone who is already in favor of Vedic Dharma, who is a follower of Vedic Dharma. No, he was a person who was very much in favor of Buddhist Dharma, and he is telling this particular aspect, and not in a negative tone. Remember that, not in a negative tone. So, there is this place called Pumpugar. Pumpugar is in the eastern coast of Tamil Nadu, and a large part of Pumpugar had already gone into the sea. A lot of marine archaeology work is going on. S.R. Rao once went and he did marine archaeology there. Now also marine archaeologists are studying there. Human settlements have been found inside the eastern coast of Tamil Nadu. And so, some of the legends that are told in ancient Tamil epic about a big sea rise and the destruction of Pumpugar by the sea, and all seem to be not imaginations but historical reality. Okay. So, this Pumpugar was part of the Chola kingdom. The Chola king was ruling it, and he wanted prosperity for his nation. So, he goes and he meets Agastya, and he tells Agastya, I want prosperity, and Agastya says, you take events, you conduct events to celebrate and venerate Indra. So, festivals for Indra should be happening in your place. So, this is how the Indra Vila or festivals for Indra, celebrations for Indra started in Tamil Nadu. This is told in Manimekalai. It is also told, another one thing is told, that the Kamandalu of Agastya. Now, this relates to an early Purana. As Agastya was coming to South India, he asked Shiva another one thing. Apart from the vision of Shiva's marriage, he also wanted a river for him. So, in his Kamandala was given a strand of Ganga river from the head of Shiva, was put into his Kamandala and it was given to him. So, he was taking this, and this particular river was inside this Kamandala for his spiritual penances, for his austerities, and it was there. So, when the people started, because of a drought and people started suffering, from the Kamandala, the Ganga river was thrown into South India by Agastya, and this became the Kaveri river. So, he was the one who brought Kaveri river to South India. Okay. So, that is the Purana story. That is also told in Manimekalai. So, Manimekalai makes it very clear, and then it tells another one very important story, a very interesting story actually. Parasurama was in the spree of killing all the Kshatriyas. So, he had finished killing the Kshatriyas in North India. Now, he was coming to South India. So, he was going to kill the Chola king. The Chola king was upset. So, he went and asked Agastya what to do. Then Agastya, he decided what to do. What he did was that he told one of his non-Kshatriya sons to rule the kingdom. Then he went to the hermitage of Agastya. Now, Parasurama does not kill any king who doesn't come in the proper Kshatriya lineage. Parasurama does not kill any king who does not have a kingdom. If you are a Kshatriya and you don't have a kingdom, Parasurama is not going to kill you. If you are not a Kshatriya and you are ruling a kingdom, Parasurama is not going to kill you. So that way this man escaped Parasurama. And he went and he stayed in the, of course he was depressed. Suddenly this calamity is happening, so he was depressed. He went to Agastya's hermitage, and being in the satsang of Agastya, he again got away from depression and he became energized, and after Parasurama left, he became the king. So these three things are told about Agastya in Manimegale, which is a Buddhist epic. Okay. So what I want to show is that Agastya was becoming part and parcel of Tamil culture. He was an axiomatic to Tamil culture. Whether you are a Buddhist, whether you are a Saivite, whether you are a Vaishnavite, the pan-Hindu phenomenon in Tamil Nadu, it was anchored with Agastya. Right. And then this, if you look from 13th, 12th century onwards in Tamil Nadu, you find that Agastya is also related to Tamil grammar, as we saw already. He also gets this particular aspect, that this Tamil grammar was given to Agastya by none other than Skanda Muruga. So Muruga gave the Tamil grammar to Agastya. This innovation is coming. Okay. So Muruga becomes the Tamil. As you know, if you are asking any Tamil, he would say that who is the god of Tamil, he would probably say it is Muruga. It is because Muruga is associated with three important Tamil poets. One is Nakkirar, and another one is Agastya, and another one is Arunagirinathar. And then Trinyana Sambandha is considered as the Amsa Avatara of Muruga. One Amsa, one particular emanation of Muruga came as Trinyana Sambandha. That is another one belief that is among a strong Saivites. So this way Tamil was protected by Muruga, and so he is considered as the Tamil god of Tamil. Okay. So again here is a very interesting event that is there. The Skanda Purana was in Sanskrit, and it was getting translated into Tamil by a Sivacharya from Kanchi. His name was Kachiyappa Sivacharya. And what he would do is that every day he would write he wanted to translate Skanda Purana into Tamil. So he was writing the verses, he would put the palm leaf verses at the feet of Lord Subramanya or Muruga in the night, and he would go. Next day when he comes for the puja, if there were any mistakes or something that Skanda didn't like, those things would be corrected. The corrected manuscript would be there. So like that he was getting all those palm script, and then he was ready to show it to all the audience. It is like a peer review. Okay, so all the Panditas would come and he had to read it and they have to accept it. If there is some mistake there and they point it out, then you have to go back and you have to write. So the very first statement he used the Tamil word called Tigada Chakara. So that they asked what is the meaning of this. So then he said that Tigal Tasa Kara, that essentially means the 10 hands of Shiva, because Shiva has 5 heads. So with the 5 heads he has 10 hands. In the 10 hands of Shiva there are 10 weapons. So that with the 10 weapons he is having 10 hands, and that is what is shown here. Then they told for Tigal and Tasa, when Ra and Ta, when they get together it becomes Da. We don't have a grammar rule for that, so we cannot accept this particular word. The whole event stopped there. Okay. Then next day a person comes there. So he was upset. Of course, Kachiyappa Sivacharya was upset because Muruga had done the proofreading. Skanda had done the proofreading, and after that in the very first verse the whole thing is getting stopped. So the responsibility is with the Lord. So he goes to sleep asking Muruga, okay, you have to do this. See, problem is for you, not for me. So he sleeps. So the next day a poet comes. He shows a old forgotten Tamil grammar book. It is called Veerasholyam. So that book was written, interestingly, it was a Buddhist book. And it was written by a Buddhist poet called Buttamitra. And so he shows that Veeracholium and he says this contains that particular grammar rule for that particular combination of letters. So they go through that and that it is there, so they accept it. What is the relation with this to Agastya is that there Agastya was given Tamil grammar by Avalokita. Veeracholium claims, within Veeracholium there is a claim that Agastya was given the Tamil grammar, he was taught Tamil grammar by Avalokita. Okay. Now, what is the connection between this and Muruga? Again, there is a connection. You all know that Muruga has 6 heads. Okay, Skanda has 6 heads. All these 6 heads, they come from the fire of Shiva's face. So, Shiva has 5 faces. We all know that, right? So, the 5 faces are Isanam, Tatpurusham, Satyojadam, Vamadevam, Agoram. 5 faces. And the 5 faces, when he wanted to produce Skanda, he produced another one face along with them and it is called Ajomukha. The Ajomukha is the face that is looking down. All the other faces, the 4 faces look 4 sides and the 5th face is looking at the top. The face that was looking down was the Ajomukha. And from these 6 faces, the 6 fire came and they became Skanda. So, Skanda has 6 heads. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of Avaloka? Avalokita essentially means the Bodhisattva who is looking down out of compassion. So, here is the connection. The connection goes deeper again because Avalokita is a Bodhisattva form that is derived from Vedic Varuna. Varuna has the downward looking eyes because he always wants to look at the people. They are his people and he has to guard them. So, he will be looking down. So, that is the Varuna side. There is one famous Pakistani researcher, archaeologist and scholar who had been working on, I have forgotten the name, who had been working on Harappan seals. She identifies, her name is Parveen, and she has identified a particular Harappan seal as the eye of Varuna. Eye of Varuna. So, remember again, Agastya is born of Mitra and Varuna. Okay. So, here you have the connection. From Varuna comes Avalokita Bodhisattva, and here you all know how in Kumara Sambhava you would know that when Skanda comes, he is also considered as the son of Mantakini, waters. He was born of one of the emanations, they also go to the Ganga, and so he is considered as the child of the river. So, you have all these connections. Why I am stressing this is because we are having this strong thinking, Buddhism, Saivism, Vaishnavism, they were all fighting with each other. But actually, there were definitely conflicts. There were definitely differences, no doubt about it. But they were all living in the same, you can say, the Puranic Vedic atmosphere. They were all, if at all they were quarreling, they were like quarreling of siblings inside the house, inside the family, inside the larger Hindu family. But they were all growing together. So, because they are all growing together, these aspects are give and take aspects. So, it does not, that is why this Veeracholium, which is a grammar book that was written by a Buddhist, it is brought into the Puranic story of the writing of Kadapurana in Tamil. Okay. So, this is how the Agastya Purana emerges, and Agastya has given Tamil grammar, and there is an inscription. That inscription, it is written that the Pandya, there is a king called Veerapandya. In his Veerapandya instruction, in Veerapandya's inscription, it is written that his ancestors learned Tamil from Agastya. Now, if we come to Raghuvamsa of Kalidasa, Kalidasa says that the Pandya kings were having Agastya as their guru. Now, think about it. Think about the kind of web that is there, the cultural web that is being made in India. You have a Pandya inscription that says somewhere in Tamil Nadu, it says that his ancestors were taught Tamil by Agastya. And you have a reference in Kalidasa that Agastya was the guru of Pandyas. Then there is a Chola inscription. Now the Cholas and Pandyas were rivals. The Chola inscription that says that Agastya was the guru of the Pandyas. Now we can connect all this and we can see that Agastya was a very important person who connects the north and the south. And then there is a Puranam for Kanchi. It is called, the Sthala Puranas are very important in the evolving of Indian narrative, the Indic narrative. Now, if you ask an average Tamil of today, who are the people who brought the greatness of Tamil, then he would be telling you Caldwell brought the greatness of Tamil, because he, with his comparative grammar, he was the one who showed that Tamil and Sanskrit are fundamentally different. Before that, people thought that everything came from Sanskrit. In reality, for a long period, centuries, we know already this fact that Tamil and the Dravidian languages, the so-called Dravidian languages, a set of languages, and the so-called Indo-European languages, they had differences. They were two branches of a deeper tree. We never claimed, take the entire literary history of India before colonial period. You won't find that claim that Sanskrit is the mother of all languages. We have never made that claim. This mother of all languages, that is the origin from which all the languages came. Those kind of claims are purely post-colonial claims, not colonial claims. Because they wanted to know if everything came from one particular source. They wanted to know that because they want to validate their own history. So they were creating this, which language came first, which language came from the others, we already know. But we didn't make a big issue out of it. We know, we harmonized it with our culture. So I would say that we had a language theory. That language theory had Para, Madhyama, Vaigari, Pashyanti, that particular language theory was that, language philosophy was that. And into that language philosophy, we have harmonized all the different languages. Even if there has been a Mongoloid family of language inside India, it would have been harmonized with this particular linguistic philosophy. So what we have here are Hindu family of languages. And in affecting this Hindu family of languages, Agastya played a very important role. So in Kanchi Puranam, this Kanchi Puranam was written around 17th century. Okay. It was written in 17th century. So we have to understand that the knowledge production in India had always been there. So this Kanchi Puranam was written by a particular person called Madhava Sivajnana Munivar. This Madhava Sivajnana Munivar belonged to the southernmost India, okay, Tirunelveli district. And he came to Kanchipuram and he was a scholar of Tamil and Sanskrit. And he gave this very wonderful, beautiful thing that when Shiva sounded his drum, from one side came Sanskrit and it was given to Panini. And from other side comes the Tamil grammar and it was given to Agastya. And both Panini and Agastya were great people. Then he says in the next verse, both came from Shiva. Both the languages came from Shiva. And both the languages were headed by, both the languages were made more beautiful by great seers like Panini and Agastya. And all the people who are learning these languages are noble people. So we cannot differentiate between these two languages. Now, that is how the Agastya Purana has started from the Vedic period to the time of Madhava Sivajnana Munivar. If you look at the way the Agastya Purana has been growing, you will find that it contains certain core elements. Now, what are the core elements in the Agastya Purana? One is that he was the one who actually destroyed Vilvala and Vatapi. That is the most important aspect of Agastya. Second, when the Vindhya mountain was growing and it wanted to become as big as Meru and it started growing, it was Agastya who stopped it. Okay. And again, this has some yogic symbolism encoded into it. In Kampa Ramayana, Kamban actually mentions this particular aspect. He says that he just hints at it and leaves it. and it is up to us to decipher it. He says that when people practice yoga, suddenly they become directionless, then they have to be guided. So Vindhya was creating, the Vindhya mountain was creating such a situation. When it was creating such a situation, Agastya tamed it. So now we can understand that there is a symbolism there. Now Agastya's Purana is something into which if you go and dig deeper and deeper, you will find a lot of gems. Unfortunately, after 18th century, we have stopped doing that. We only want to find what is the history of Agastya. We want to look at Agastya like a kind of a fossil. Basically, that is the tragedy of our system right now. Agastya is a living presence. When our system wants to look at him like a fossil, thus belonging to history, no more relevant in the modern time, then it creates all kind of problems for us. Okay. Then the third legend is that he gave Kaveri. So it also has a very important spiritual significance, and also it has significance in terms of human society's virtues, values, because you have spiritual practices and you have a lot of spiritual capacity in you, and if it is all present only in your Kamandala, what is the use? So when this Purana develops, it develops into something else, you see, that is again another one beautiful thing. So in the later development of the Purana, in Manimegali it is said that from his Kamandala, the Kamandala fell down and the Kaveri came, that's all. But then later it gets innovated. It says that Indra wanted to worship Shiva, and then there was no rain, and his Nandavana, it started becoming dead, it was dead. And so he went to Narada, and Narada says, you pray to Ganesha, and then your problem will be solved, because this can be solved because only by Agastya's Kamandala, and Agastya is not going to give his Kamandala, but you pray to Ganapati, it will happen. So Ganesha comes in the form of a crow, and he just comes just above the Kamandala, and Agastya wanted to shoo away the crow, and he shows his hand. The hand touches the Kamandala, the crow also touches the Kamandala, Kamandala falls down, and because the Rishi has shown his hand like that, the Kaveri started flowing. Okay, so that is how the story comes, and then Agastya gets angry, he starts chasing the crow suddenly becomes a Brahmin boy. And looking at this boy, crow becoming a Brahmin boy, he thinks that this guy is some kind of a person who is practicing kind of an evil magic. So he goes and he gives a big knock in his head. Okay. Then the boy shows his true form as Ganesha, and then Agastya is so upset that he had done something very wrong. But Ganesha says, I am very pleased with your devotion. So now on those devotees who want to worship me, they should make symbolic knocks on their head when they are worshipping me. So if you go to South India, or I don't know whether it is in North India, that practice is that before doing the Topukarna before Ganesha, you always do knocking on your own head with both your hands, this like this. Okay. So the left hand would go to your right hemisphere, right hand would go to the left hemisphere, kind of an intuitive understanding of how your brain also works. Like that you have to knock on your head before doing the Topukarna. Okay. So this is also, this particular practice that is so prevalent among all the people, it is also associated with Agastya. In our houses, our grandmothers used to say this. When you have taken something, when you have eaten something and you are feeling some problem out of indigestion, then they would say, just tell Vadabi Jirnam. So it is because when Vadabi was inside the stomach, Agastya said Vadabi Jirnam, and Vadabi became digested. So if you are suffering from indigestion, you tell this. So now you can see how Agastya is part and parcel of our daily life. Okay. So these are there is another one beautiful Purana that comes right from the Vedic times, and it is also repeated in Ramayana. It is that when Indra was fighting with Vrudra, then there were some asuras called Kalageyas who were helping Vrudra. And they all went, after Vrudra was killed, they all went and they just were hiding in the ocean. And Agastya drank the ocean. and then they couldn't hide anywhere, and then Indra killed him. So this is one particular legend. After Rudra was killed by Indra, the Kalakeyas, they went and they were hiding in the ocean. Then Agastya drank the ocean and Indra was able to kill them. Now, you have this astronomical significance here. Again, in one of the Sangam literature songs, Agastya is mentioned in astronomical terms. Agastya is the star, the southern star, okay, Canopus. So, the song says that when this Agastya goes into the Midhuna Rasi, then the evaporation rate is higher in the oceans and the ocean level decreases. And when it exits that particular Rasi and moves back, then again the ocean, there is rain and the ocean starts swelling. Now, this is something that you can relate to Agastya drinking the ocean. So, you have astronomical coding also into this, or at least the astronomical observations that the ancient made, they were able to relate it to Agastya. Now, you can see that the Puranic, Sanskrit based Puranic narratives, then the Tamil narratives, then you have the folk narratives, all that come and combine together. Now, if you look at the way the Siddha texts, the medicinal texts, indigenous knowledge medicinal texts are there in Tamil. Mostly they were medieval texts. Okay. All these medieval texts, they attribute themselves to Agastya. So, how Agastya is related to medicine? Again, in the Vedic literature, we have a very interesting story of a king's wife who has lost her legs. And then it was Agastya who asked the Aswins to come and fix iron legs to her. Okay. So, now you see that Agastya is also related to medicine in a particular stream right from the Vedic times. And you have in Tamil Nadu a lot of texts. So, as late as 19th century, there was a Siddhavaidya and he belonged to Devendra Kula Vellala Jati, who is now considered a scheduled community. He had written a treatise on Siddhavaidya. Okay. In that he has used older texts and he has used his own knowledge, but he was not claiming that he wrote the text. He was claiming that Agastya wrote the text, and he claims about himself as Agastya Kudumbam, as belonging to Agastya Kudumbam. Okay. Now, you can relate all this right from the Harappan times till this 19th century person who claims that he belongs to Agatya Kudumbam. And each and every verse Chonnan Agatyan, like that it would end, that it was told by Agastya. It was not told by me. It was told by Agastya. Okay. So, why they were doing this? That is an important question that we have to ask. If I am going to write a treatise, then I would like to put my name, right? Why I should put Agastya's name? So, one thing they could say is that it is because I want to have authority, otherwise people won't listen. So, I am putting the name of Agastya. So, it would be more marketable. That does not seem to be the answer actually. One of the reasons may be that there are also a lot of mystic texts that are also attributed to Agastya. Clearly, Agastya could not have written all those texts, but they are attributed to Agastya. One important reason may be that the person who writes it may consider himself as in the same vibration of mind as Agastya, Agastya Sakritaya. Agastya need not have even read anything written by Agastya. He feels that he is in the same tune of heart as Agastya. He wants to give great things to the world. He wants to do good things to the world. And for that, his mind is in the same his heart is in the same heartbeat rate of Agastya. So, he feels that it was Agastya who is writing through him. So, that is something that happens in Indian culture again and again. So, the person's personality goes. The personality of Agastya remains. And so, he says that this is not written by me, this is written by Agastya. So, that might be the reason. And see how Agastya transcends the narrow barriers of jati and social stratification. anyone who is knowledgeable claims himself to be a person belonging to the family of Agastya. Right? So, this is a family that is not based on biological things. This is a family that is based on metaphysical things. This is the family that is based on darshana. And why should think about it again? Why should a person who belongs to a scheduled community in South India consider himself to be a family member and descendant of Agastya who came from North India? Because he didn't think of him as a North Indian, think of himself as a South Indian. He think of himself as belonging to the same cultural matrix. The tapestry that has been woven by a lot of rishis and munis from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, he belongs to that. So once he realizes that, these distinctions they vanish. Okay. So Agastya thus is an important phenomenon, an ongoing phenomenon, I would say, because a lot of people even today they go to Pudikai Malai where Agastya did the meditation from, and it is called now Agastya Mala. Okay. They go there, they do meditation, and they claim that they have had visions of Agastya. So Agastya is an ongoing phenomenon. Right from the Vedic times till today, he is guiding this nation. So he is one of the Chiranjeevis who are living with us always and guiding us. Thank you very much for this.